What is going on, guys? How y'all doing on this Saturday afternoon? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I am here live with my facial hair that I definitely got to shave off, but I'm getting lazy over the past couple days, and again, I'm on vacation, so I can't shut about that as well, because I'm just glad having a nice, refreshing little break from my professional life, gotta shave this beard off for sure, because, could catch a good chick soon, who knows, maybe not that one who blocked me after my internet woos on Thursday night, but anyways, that's the past, we're on to focus on the present, and the future, of course, of the WWE. So this is the Club of the Man 1993, and I am here live to give you my live review of last night's edition of Smackdown. And this was from the last edition, the October 9th, 2020 edition of Smackdown, and of course took place, as always, at the WWE ThunderDome in Orlando, Florida, at the Amway Center. And it was night one of the 2020 draft. We're gonna, we'll talk about the show. We'll recap all of the picks. I'll go through the picks at the end of the show. I'll mention them as we go through the show, and talk about them and what I think of the draft so far. Especially because it's taken a very interesting turn for me, as far as one of the divisions in particular that we will talk about. Where's it going with? I'm not sure. Because I know there's been a lot of people on the internet not too big of a fan of this draft this year. Because, they're starting to show some cracks again in the brand split with the brand-to-brand invitational. Which was fine with me at first, because they were limiting on how many times people can come back and forth. But then it just slowly showing, more and more just randomness just for the heck of it. And I'm just like, why? Why? It's not phasing me, but who knows? So I'm still I was a little bit intrigued by this draft. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but a lot of the same people are just being drafted to the same shows. To me, it's no different if there's been a superstar shakeup and someone showing up. This is kind of a star, say, oh, this person's definitely staying here or whatnot, so I don't know. I'm fine with it. I'm kind of prefer it this way rather than just doing a superstar shakeup. But then again, who knows. But we'll get into the picks. There was some that definitely interested me. Of course, one that was really great, and then some other people joined, and then someone else just joined as announced on Talking Smack today, and I'm like, oh, gosh. So it's going from one show to the other, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. So, again, like I said, I'll talk about the show. I will mention the draft picks as each round goes by. We get to it. And, of course, I will talk about the picks that happened this morning on Talking Smack, the 5 more picks that we got. And, of course, some that are considered free agents right now because there was some people who were basically, they only had like 20-some people, 30 people maybe, eligible for night 1, and they kept the rest for night 2 on Monday. So we'll wait and see how it goes with that. So again, I say this was kind of intriguing again, especially with one of the divisions that I will talk about towards the end, because we've got a couple heartbreaks definitely that happen in the draft. One happened yesterday, and one happened today. But of course, we'll get into that. But I gotta say, overall, SmackDown was actually pretty good. Overall, the show, I actually liked most of the stuff that we had happen. Some stuff was what it was, but I think we had some intriguing things happen. And also, but I still didn't realize this, we had The Fiend in action on an episode of Raw or SmackDown for the first time ever. Since, going from just the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt to the Fiend Bray Wyatt, because since he made his return and debuted the Firefly Funhouse, he had not been in action on Raw or SmackDown, like an actual wrestling match. He was just having matches on pay-per-views. But he had an actual match on SmackDown, so I'm like, okay. We'll see where it goes. But first, before we get into this review, this might be a longer one because we have a lot to talk about. Let's go to the live chat. And tonight, well, I may go pay my grandparents a visit after this because I'm not going to be able to tomorrow. But tonight I will do my Hell in a Cell card predictions and get those done with and upload on here as well. I'm also going to maybe start preparing some graphics for think about another top 10 streams. I want to do one while I'm on vacation as well. But I'm also getting back to my video game Let's Plays. Again, I've been crazy the past couple weeks, tired and whatnot. Like I said, those spurts are going to happen, but I definitely want to get my video game Let's Plays continuing on, especially with the Harry Potter one. So we'll get back to those as well. But anyways, let's check the live chat and see what we got here. We got Jared Campbell. Yes, a certain somebody did return. I'll get into him later on as well, which I'm actually quite thrilled to be back. And also happy because one of my good friends here on YouTube, King Larry the First, was excited about this person because about a month or two ago he had told me about how this person was kind of like Larry views him as a little bit like a hero. And when he returned, I was happy for Larry, so I'll talk about him when we get there. Mention Kevin Owens had one hell of a match. You're not going to be tired anymore. Was this? I watched the show, but it wasn't a dumbass show like Boys. It wasn't dumb as hell. Oh no, it was not. And that main event was a good match, for sure. Are you going to get you a date? That'd be cool. Maybe one that's your age. Maybe good luck for blah, blah, all that stuff. Who knows? Maybe. Who knows? They just use you for your. Yeah, I know. Some of them do. That's crap what they did to Xavier Woods and Kofi. We'll talk about that. And how the person returned is one of his favorite wrestlers. That's why I was happy he returned. Good. I'm happy for you, man. And who's one of your favorite wrestlers? Again, man. For those who know me, again, I've only been watching wrestling for 7 years. And I can't believe it's already been 7 years. But of course, gotta go with the one who made me a wrestling fan. Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is my favorite. Always will be my favorite of all time. I almost cried the day he originally had to retire. And I met him 2 weeks beforehand. So, of course, we'll do that. Before we get into... Well, I'll come back to the live chat in a little bit. Before we get into the actual review, I don't know if I mentioned this in my NXT live review last night when I did it, but just a little side note there. It was announced that Mercedes Martinez has been dropped from Retribution, and she's going back to NXT. Now, of course, I will give credit that Retribution gained a little bit of light. Well, they did Lights Out with Mustafa Ali, revealed to join them. But I still say good. One, because, I still, Mustafa Ali being revealed as a leader gave me a little bit of hope. But then once Retribution, but before that, I just literally did not care. Also, I just think they just brought her up too soon. Also, yeah, I've definitely been a huge fan of Mercedes Martinez. I love the match she had in the Mae Young Classic with Meiko Satomura, and she also put on a couple other good matches. I'm still surprised since she did an appearance in AEW in one of the women's battle royales they did, one of the pay-per-views. I'm still surprised she picked WWE over AEW. But she's going back to NXT, which I think she should go back there for sure and polish up even more before coming back to the main roster if she ever does. Because once again, some people are staying in NXT, as we've talked about for a while. But I think good to get her out of Retribution because it wasn't the time yet for her to be involved in something like this. I mean, yes, she's good, but I feel like she still had to make that name for herself. And she was only around not too long, and the biggest thing she's done so far is have a steel cage match with Rhea Ripley, and she lost it. So I'd rather see her back in NXT getting polished up first, either way. So kind of glad that happened. So Mercedes Martinez is back in NXT. Thank the Lord. So let's talk about this show, SmackDown. So SmackDown started off with, of course, Corey Graves and Michael Cole welcoming us night one of the draft. And out comes Stephanie McMahon. And Stephanie McMahon's announcing the draft picks. Why not Adam Pearce this year? Somebody different. Why does that be Stephanie McMahon? Why not Adam Pearce? Or bring back general managers. But again, they're having just one person announce the picks for both shows. But again, they don't feel like they have their own shows because there's no separate commissioners or general managers. Again, I just kind of miss that. And it's also kind of thrown off the brand split for sure. Even though, again, I'm going to continue to say this, guys. Even though it has its cons, I'm still pro brand split. I'm still pro brand split because if they ever dropped the brand split and went back to just both stars on both shows for Raw and SmackDown, I'd probably just watch one show again like it was before. because I just don't want to watch the same shows over and over again that has the same people on both shows. It's like with how much content we have right now, I just don't want to have the time to watch the same thing over and over again, especially if it's nothing that intriguing. So if that ever happened again, guys, I'd only watch one show. I'd only watch one show, and that's all. So again, I continue to say that even though there's some cons in it, and I do think they should merge some titles. They may be doing some for the itch I'm getting from some things that came out of this draft. I'm still pro brand split and think Raw and SmackDown should be their own shows, has their own set of stars. I still think so. Let me get that out there first. But yeah, it's something why not be Stephanie McMahon? Why not Adam Pearce, since he has a role now backstage? But I still would rather have someone be concretely in charge of Raw and someone be concretely in charge of SmackDown, if that makes sense at all. So Stephanie McMahon comes out to announce the draft picks, and also we didn't have like we did last year. We had a superstar who was already on Raw and a superstar from SmackDown fight to see who gets the first pick first. To me, it made no sense because Raw, either way, gets more picks because they're the 3-hour show. SmackDown's the 2-hour show. So Stephanie comes out to announce the first round of picks. And of course, the first pick for Raw was the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. Didn't see him moving brands. And of course, the first pick for SmackDown was the Universal Champion, the Tribal. Again, I'll be courteous to the big dog, and I'm not calling him the Tribal Chief till he's ready to be called the Tribal Chief, because Jey Uso did not acknowledge him as the Tribal Chief at Clash of Champions. But Roman Reigns, of course, staying on SmackDown. I figured that blue belt's not going back to red anytime soon. So then the second pick for Raw was Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion, staying on Raw. SmackDown, second pick, first person to switch brands. One that I thought maybe, but based off the current circumstances, I wasn't sure. Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, is now moving to Friday nights. I'm intrigued. I'll get into it more at the end, but again, I'm intrigued by this. I still wasn't sure if it was going to happen because of again, I've heard some rumors that Seth Rollins may be taking some time off soon because he's about to be a daddy. Becky Lynch is due in December. And also because I didn't see, because again, like last year when they did, not the draft last October, but in the Superstar Shakeup back after WrestleMania 35 last year, when they basically did the shakeup, but then still switched some people around after that, they came up with that rule of like, we want to keep, significant others are on the same show. And I don't know, because, I don't know when Becky Lynch is going to come back to wrestling. Maybe at the Royal Rumble, or maybe after, not WrestleMania next year. Well, if it's not till WrestleMania next year, I guess fine. But again, because the SmackDown Women's Division is going to be basically Sasha and Bayley, I still feel, until WrestleMania. Mostly Sasha and Bayley. Maybe like a triple threat or fatal 4-way here and there with somebody else inserted, but that's why I think Becky Lynch would go to SmackDown. I thought she would stay on Raw. So I guess that's another reason why I didn't think Seth was going to go to Raw. But we'll talk about it more, go to SmackDown, but we'll talk about that more when we get to the end. I go over all the picks again and get my thoughts on them. So yeah, that's our first trade. And then the first round ended with the Hurt Business being drafted over drafted to Raw. And of course, so Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander are all staying on Raw. Fine by me, as I expected. So we have that. Seth Rollins interview backstage. Thrilled to be making the jump, but a little upset that he won't be there in person to watch the Mysterio family implode. Again, this feud's going on forever, and now it's focused on Little Red Riding Hood in a black dress. He won't be there to watch him implode, but luckily for him, he never has to see their disgusting faces ever again. Just you wait, Seth. Just you wait. We'll get to that in a little bit. So the first actual match we had was this Falls Count Anywhere match with Big E and Sheamus. Kind of the wrap up there. Decent, but a reasonable opponent again to put over Big E in really his first singles feud since splitting from well, not splitting, since, Kofi and Xavier Woods had gotten injured. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Again, I never really thought these two had good chemistry. Their match on SmackDown they had, and their match at Payback was decent. But it's obvious these two don't have the best chemistry. But it was doing its job of kind of like, wearing off, the goofy silliness of Big E. Bringing out his, his charisma, bringing out his amazing microphone skills. If anybody, again, he cut a promo on Talking Smack recently around Payback that I think was definitely like, like an eye-catching promo for him, like be coming across as all passionate and just everything, just like, he's serious and whatnot. Like that serious side of him, it was good to see. And of course, also this week on Talking Smack, because I wanted to see who these extra picks were. Talking Smack, Big E kind of, put Sami Zayn in his own shoes and kind of like, told him off, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? He definitely just like, threw off Sami Zayn in some ways, because Sami Zayn was like talking about the logic of like, what happened with the draft with New Day last night, and he goes, how long have you been working here? When does logic exist? And I'm like, oh, even the own superstars are even admitting that there's no logic in this company. But I think this was a pretty good Falls Count Anywhere match between these two. The only thing I can say I didn't like about it was again the story of this feud is Sheamus kind of like bringing out like the more serious side of Big E, wearing off the goofiness. There were a couple weapons that got involved that I was like, okay, like again, Big E, you're wearing off the comedy here. Like, it brought out, some bootios from underneath underneath the ring. I was like, okay, why are we showing that? That's not, needed. A broomstick, I don't know. Using the broomstick, I was like not a big fan. Just a couple little nitpicks. But still, it was an all-out brawl all over the arena. They used kendo sticks. They slammed each other into cars. Garbage cans, I believe, as well. And, of course, sold it visually really well. Like, Sheamus had some, welts on his back. There was a couple cuts, little bit of blood, which I like they did that. Sheamus used the car door to slam on Big E's back, take out his back. I thought was good. He almost tried to break Big E's arm with the car hood. Sheamus also kicked off, the back trunk of the car, which I thought was sweet. My favorite spot of the match, I still think, was that ending. Big E gets up on top of like a Hyundai or Elantra or whatever car. I think it was a Hyundai. I think it was. And he hits a big ending, like jumping off the car through a table. It was sick. And that's how he wins the match. So, again, a decent mid-card feud. Again, even though, like I said, I just didn't think Big E and Sheamus had the best chemistry. But this feud did do its job, helping make Big E, give him more momentum as a single star. And I loved it. I thought it was a great match. Again, props to them both. I even tweeted both. Props to you guys both. At times I think you guys had the best chemistry, but, you guys got the job done. And I thought, again, this is definitely a very underrated Falls Count Anywhere match. It was good. I liked it. Again, Big E gets the win. And, of course, we can be moving on to something else with Big E. Who knows what it is, but we all know what's happening next week with them. So we had that to start off with. We then have backstage after the commercial, Big E's being interviewed. But before you can answer any questions, here comes a couple guys dressed with security costumes. The first one rolls up, pops out, it's Kofi! Kofi hasn't been seen since the SmackDown after Extreme Rules when they had dropped the SmackDown tag titles. But then, on the other side, in a security outfit, pulling the head off, is a man who knows how to get, rated R, as we all know. Xavier Woods is back as well, and he's been out for a year, maybe a little over a year, I think. I'm trying to remember, was it either SummerSlam or not long after SummerSlam, because again, they were tag team champions. I'm trying to think, who was SmackDown tag team champions? It's been that long, I completely forgot who was SmackDown tag team champions. By the time I remember, it was around, because Kofi was still WWE champion. I can't remember when it was, but either like August, September, October last year was when Xavier Woods suffered his Achilles injury. He's going to be out for like a year and a half. So we haven't seen Xavier Woods on TV since. But Xavier Woods is back, which I'm glad to see Xavier for sure. Missing all three members of the New Day together. I was, because before this show, I did hear some rumors. Which, of course, they came true, except not quite as what I thought was going to happen. But it was good to see them there. But I got a little, this itch, like, Big E kind of came across as to, like, he didn't feel it like he did before. I mean, yes, he did the New Day Rock stuff, he all hyped it up, but you could tell by the body language, it just looked like something was missing this time. Like, Big E, like, had that sales moments like, oh, wait, I got these two guys again. But it shouldn't be that way, but, again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But, yeah, so both of them return. They're back together, but something was missing, the tag titles. And then it was announced later before the next round of draft picks that we're going to be getting a tag title match between Cesaro Nakamura and Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods of the New Day. But back in the ring, we have Jey Uso on the microphone, calling out his cousin, Roman Reigns. He's like, what stipulation is their match at Hell in a Cell? Even though it already been announced it was going to be inside Hell in a Cell. And he doesn't get one and says he gets it. Roman only comes out on his own terms, but it's lockdown with the Oos, and that got the juice. But then Paul Heyman appears on Titantron and cuts him off. Tells Jey to stop embarrassing himself by trying to dictate the appearance of the reigning, defending, undisputed, universal champion, Roman Reigns. But again, Heyman tells Jey to stop embarrassing himself by trying to dictate the appearance of Reigns, because that's at the champ's leisure and discretion. Reigns applauds his tendency, but if you get too ambitious and step into the ring, well, he then rolls the footage of Roman beating the holy hell out of Jey Uso in their match at Clash of Champions. Then Roman appears, sitting at a table, a very fancy table, with the Universal title nicely laid out underneath a lamp, posing like a badass. And he says, when he was a kid, his dad, Jay's uncle, Rikishi of course, said in this business, to believe nothing that you hear and only half of what you see. But what you just saw, you can believe that. He tried to help Jey, make his life better, and all he had to do was say the words. Acknowledge him as the tribal chief. Acknowledge him. So, again, he loves him, and he's doing this to help him. He says their match at Hell in a Cell will be inside the cell, but it'll be an I Quit match. And he warns him, though, there's going to be consequences. And I'm like, I mean, the only thing is again, we're now getting 3 Hell in a Cell matches. Like, we don't need 3. They did 3 one time in 2016. It was, and 2 of them I didn't think you even need to have the cell. I mean, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins was a great Hell in a Cell match that year, but the feud didn't really write the story of Hell in a Cell. Roman Reigns and Rusev also didn't really write the likes of Hell in a Cell. Theirs probably would have been better with just a regular, Street Fighter or No Holds Barred match for the United States Championship. That didn't need to be inside the cell either. But Sasha and Charlotte, they were making history. That was a story, so that one worked. But I mean, I'd accept this. I accept Sasha and Bayley because that feud is that those two are destined to have a Hell in a Cell match. I get you wanted to have one on Raw, one on SmackDown, I guess, but Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre again does not need to happen inside Hell in a Cell. So that's the only gripe I have about it. But I love this stipulation because 1, it'll keep somebody out from throwing in the towel for Jey Uso again, and 2, it's not going to end until Roman Reigns this time gets what he wants. That's why I even said when Roman mentioned there's going to be, the stakes going to be higher than any match in WWE history. Yeah, Hell in a Cell, but I quit also. Hoping Roman takes full advantage of the cell and tortures the crap out of Jey Uso, beating him down. I mean, could this lead to maybe, the Usos turning heel or something like that, and starting up a stable that Roman's gonna call, just having them all in his power and such, if you know what I mean. It could go that way. I'm not sure. Sorry. But again, again, the stipulation works perfectly. Again, Roman wants to fight Jey, gave Jey another shot because, Roman may have won, but he didn't get what he wanted. He wanted to be acknowledged by the one person he was fighting. He was beating the crap out of Jey Uso. So that works. That's a great stipulation right there, I think. I mean, yes, did it need to be inside the cell? Maybe not, but I get why they're doing it inside the cell. It's just, again, why are we doing 3 Hell in a Cell matches this year? But, we'll see how it goes. Again, I'm looking forward to that match. And, of course, see who Roman feuds with afterwards. And, of course, get the rest of the draft picks in. Let me see here. Speaking of, though, which, one match, of course, I now know, will not be happening on SmackDown, as I was hoping to. And I know, Tyler, if you're out there or watching the live chat, he's not watching the live chat, maybe you'll catch this later on. I know I'll probably hear about him telling me later how he's disappointed about this one. But, of course, I'll talk about it when I talk about the remaining picks. But, round 2 of the draft. Going to Raw, AJ Styles. Which I'm like, damn it. Because, again, the 2 people I wanted to see, 2 people that, well, one especially that I would be okay with. Again, AJ Styles, again, I just feel like, SmackDown's just always been his home. Daniel Bryan was also somebody else, but he wasn't drafted on this show, that I'd be okay with him going to Raw. He's been on SmackDown ever since the draft came back, both as a superstar and as SmackDown general manager. I'd be okay with him going over to Raw for a fresh coat of paint. My thing, though, is I want to see, again, a heel Roman Reigns and face Daniel Bryan. That has WrestleMania all over it. I want to see that match at some point. I want to see it. But I don't know if it's going to happen. But yeah, AJ Styles as a face and Roman Reigns. Again, we got 2 really good matches out of AJ Styles and Roman Reigns back in 2016. But that's when AJ had just first come in. It was before his heel turn on John Cena. And again, he was great matches. But this is AJ Styles, much more polished off. Maybe worn down a little bit because, his age starting to catch up to him and such. But, that was a little bit disappointing, but AJ Styles is going back over to Raw. But it does set up for another dream match I have with him, which again, I will save until I go over the picks again at the end of the video. So AJ Styles is going to Raw. SmackDown picks Sasha Banks. Interesting enough, Sasha Banks was drafted. Bayley was not. I mean, was Bayley on this week's? I don't think she was. She was on the ones that were qualified. They showed a big shot of the ones who were qualified for tonight. I don't know if they showed Bayley, so that could have been the case, but still, Sasha got drafted before Bayley. So that's a little bit of a thing you can add to their story there. Raw picked Naomi, which again surprised me since, eventually we got Jey Uso getting drafted at SmackDown, but so again, I don't ever see them splitting up the Usos. But again, I thought there was the role, which again, we also had another pick that could, intrigue this whole thing. Again, the whole thing of husbands and wives, significant others, whatever you are, staying on the same brand. So that kind of threw me off because I thought Naomi was going to stay on SmackDown, but she's going over to Raw now. So I'm like, okay, give her something fresh to do over on Raw. Since again, like I said, the SmackDown Women's Division is just going to be Sasha and Bayley until WrestleMania. I still say. So I'm fine with Naomi going over to Raw. Hopefully she'll get better booking there. But then, of course, this is a great pick for SmackDown, even though, once again, but I'll say this. I will say this. If they ever do, a triple threat match, or even after WrestleMania next year, whenever they have, we're stuck with Sasha Banks and Bayley, this woman right here should be inserted into the picture at some point with them too. Again, I'm just saying it has to be. Bianca Belair is going to SmackDown. Love that one. Although, again, her husband is Raw Tag Team Champion right now, so she should be staying on Raw. At least, I don't know. We'll talk about that division, at the end of the show. But Bianca Belair going to SmackDown, I thought was a huge deal. That was great. But like I said, the SmackDown Women's Division is going to feel a little bit in the shadows because of Sasha and Bayley. But again, if they want to insert somebody else into the feud, make like a triple threat or something like that, or just for, one to do the other, then fine. But I tell you what, though, once this Sasha and Bayley feud is over and Sasha is the SmackDown Women's Champion, boom. Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, two women who just have, a boss, type attitude. These two, I just think would have an excellent feud. Their promos would be awesome. In-ring ability, awesome. I want to see that match. I want to see that match, and I cannot wait to see it. So, love that one. Yes, that's another one of my favorite picks. And then rounding out the women's tag champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are staying on Raw. So hopefully we can still see Shayna Baszler and Asuka. Cool with me. Awesome. So that's the next round of picks. We'll talk about that more. AJ Styles cut a promo about being drafted. Says he's relieved to be on Raw because he's tired of being surrounded by cheaters like Jeff Hardy and Sami Zayn. How he got no respect on the show that, he made his own, which is true. SmackDown Live, to me, will always be the house that AJ Styles built. And, of course, they moved over to SmackDown, back to Raw again. I'll get into why I think they moved AJ back over to Raw, when I go over the picks again. But I'm pretty sure I know if Tyler was there in the live chat, I'm pretty sure, again, he definitely would not be happy about that because I know he wanted AJ to stay on SmackDown. Anyways, then we have this tag match. They're calling themselves Broetry in Motion. I'm not sure if that's literally going to be, they're legitimately going to stay as a tag team like this or what. But Broetry in Motion, Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle taking on The Miz and Morrison. And the match was whatever. Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle win with the Bro Derek that Riddle hit on The Miz. Afterwards, though, the music hits. And it sounded like a familiar one, but then it was changed to another generic music. Why? I don't know, because his old theme was a badass. For the first time in 16 months, and again, shout out to my good friend King Larry the First, because he just 2 months ago, he was just telling me how he looks at this man as a hero to him. And I respect that for sure. Lars Sullivan, coming out with a similar, beard and mustache. The mustache was new. I'd never seen Lars Sullivan with a mustache. But Lars Sullivan makes his return. I have not seen him since he was citing nursery rhymes to the Lucha House Party before Super Show. Oh my goodness. Him just like a typewriter reciting Three Blind Mice. I still cannot believe they did that. When they did that, I'm like, no, don't do that to Lars, no. But Lars Sullivan makes his return, and he beats the crap out of everybody in the ring, like he was before he had left. Cool. I know there's some controversy regarding Lars Sullivan, but to me, it dated back even before he made his main roster debut after WrestleMania 35. Again, I'm not going to say it's like Velveteen Dream, where it's like they didn't give us time, get some clarity, but we've seen some stories and heard some things about how Lars Sullivan's trying to, change himself for the better, his racial comments he made or something like that, apparently. Or in fact, he was in a gay porn film or something like that. But, that's what he wanted to do. But, of course, those the comments he made, those were, wrong of him to say, but I've heard that he is trying to make change for the better and whatnot, so I'm open to giving him another shot. And I always liked Lars. I always thought Lars was a great, intelligent monster in NXT. Yeah, his main roster run's been weird so far because he had stage fright Because there was some original plans for him earlier, which I will talk about because I kind of have an idea of maybe something he could maybe do on SmackDown. But I'll talk about that when I review the picks in a little bit. But yeah, I'm not upset Lars is back. I'm actually intrigued to see what they do with Lars. I am, really. So he was back, he beat down everybody, had a mustache and a beard, but yeah, he's back for the first time in 16 months after a pretty severe knee injury that he had. So yeah, Lars Sullivan beats everybody down, and he's back. Although, it was a little annoying how Michael Cole kept calling him the Freak every 2 words. Which again, got kind of annoying, but, again, Michael Cole overdoes everything. He goes, who does he have in his ear? Vince McMahon. Say it's boss time. Say it's boss time. Say it's boss time. I still wonder if Michael Cole did not get moved over, if Michael Cole only got moved over to SmackDown, well, besides the fact that they're on Fox, but moved over to SmackDown just so we hear him say it's boss time all the time again. I wouldn't be surprised if Vince did that, because Vince probably gets, too happy when he hears that. Just saying. But, so we had that. We had the third round of draft picks. Raw picked Ricochet. SmackDown picked Jey Uso. Raw gets Mandy Rose, but I'm like, she was just traded to Raw. Like, what was the point of, just saying she's going back to Raw? You should have been like, okay, she was already just traded recently, she's back on Raw. Like, what was the point of even, mentioning this trade to Raw? SmackDown then got the Mysterios. I'm like, damn it! We're not moving on from the feud. Because Seth Rollins is on SmackDown, of course, too. That's when I'm like, rats, of course. Because Seth moved over to SmackDown also. But again, we'll talk about them afterwards. So Ray and Dominic are on SmackDown. And then Raw picks up Miz and Morrison. I'm sorry, I don't do that anymore because, again, I literally just don't care for the team anymore. Especially after their freaking toilet comedy such as the fartest known as Shinsuke. That instantly turned me off in The Miz. And made me so mad because again, I was literally watching, I found this one video of, The Miz's best burning lines. And, of course, they showed, some of his promos he cut over the years, I heard, his babyface promo he cut on Shane McMahon after Shane first turned on him, which was just, again, an excellent promo. His Talking Smack promo with Daniel Bryan. But another one that I still say Miz deserves a lot of credit for to remind us about how great he is on the microphone. That promo he cut on John Cena and Roman Reigns, I think the Raw after SummerSlam 2017. Basically, how, upset that, Roman and Cena, get how many opportunities, and the crowd doesn't care, and of course the crowd is giving a huge reaction for it. He says, yeah, I've worked my ass off, and I got stuck on the pre-show. Again, it was definitely another super underrated promo by The Miz, and now, again, look what they've, even as a heel, what did they reduce him to since he turned heel again? And they made him and Morrison totally uncool, but they're going to Raw. Morrison going to Raw, fine, even though, well, I would like to see Morrison have matches like, Rollins or Reigns, but we could see Morrison and McIntyre. Morrison and Styles. If Aleister Black stays on Raw, Morrison and Black. Still gonna see those matches if they get him out of this funk with this. Again, I was cool with them at first, scared of the team, but then they just made them completely uncool and just Morrison an idiot. And then Miz saying the fartest known as, what are they going to do? Like, bring Nakamura out? Okay, now I'm just, oh goodness, I'm not giving Vince any ideas. Again, putting fart sounds into Nakamura's theme music. Dear Lord, that's giving me nightmares thinking about it. Oh boy. But, yeah, Miz and Morrison are going to Raw. Again, the other thing, too, is also, I've never thought Miz fit on Raw. I'm sorry, first off, also, Miz has been traded every single shake-up, draft, whatever you want to call it. He's been traded every one. I still think Miz is more of a SmackDown guy. I just feel like, he's a better fit on SmackDown. Never thought he was a good fit on Raw. But, based off of what they're doing at this draft, I'll talk about it at the end again. I keep saying it. I'm hyping things up. I'm not getting to it. I'm already 40 minutes in, but again, there's just a lot to talk about on this episode. So let's check the live chat before we get to the next hour. What do we got here? Let's see here. You were right about that Hell in a Cell match. They're going to have an I Quit match. Awesome. Oh, you were selling your bomb. Okay. No worries. You're tired, and a tire or iron is a weapon that Big E used on Sheamus. Yeah, he did use some type of a tire iron, I remember. The Revival had the SmackDown tag titles in 2019, right before they got traded over to SmackDown. I kind of expect them to go to SmackDown, but again, this one, we'll talk about that again in a little bit. TN Couponer is betting that the Street Profits go to SmackDown since knew they went to Raw. Heard that Styles wanted to go to Raw so he can see his kids play ball. That is one reason why I heard. I'll get to that. What's up, Robbie? Bianca Belair going to SmackDown is a great for her because I hate when WWE brings in a real-life relationship into storylines and programming, thinking Becky and Seth, the man's man. Yeah, like I said too, again, I just thought, just thinking WWE, I thought they were trying to keep significant others and, married couples on the same brand. But now that they threw that out the window, then it's like, okay, free game now, pretty much. So maybe, who knows? What's up? I'm pretty good TN Cooper by myself again. I'm on vacation this week from work, so I have a nice long week off. Had a lot of good plans, as I said. Lars Sullivan will probably get drafted to Monday Night Raw. It is possible, but I kind of have an idea for if he stays on SmackDown. Hit that like button. Yes, definitely. Already have 3 likes. Thank you for that. Let me see here. If Lars goes to SmackDown, they can do a feud with him and Jeff Hardy. Seen from Lars destroying the Hardy Boys show at WrestleMania 35, maybe culminate an Extreme Rules match. I like that idea. And Mike, Tyler wants me to let you know that if you get counted out or disqualified, it's still a loss. Oh yeah, I know. It's still a loss. Love that line by Punk. Nice shirt, Gon. Oh yeah, thanks, of course. It's my Kofi Mania shirt that, of course, I bought when I went to WrestleMania 35 last year at Access. Definitely a great purchase. Mysterio's future tag team champions. Maybe. But again, we'll see. Just maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, 4th like. Nice. Thank you, guys. The Miz makes me want to win. The Miz makes me want to whiz. You guys can make it funny. Vince can make it funny. I love that. The Miz makes me want to whiz. Did Aaliyah and Murphy move over to SmackDown? Will you get copyrighted if you say, well, oh, is it? I don't think I would know. We'll talk about that shortly. Don't give WWE any ideas. For sure, yeah, definitely not with the fartist known as Shinsuke Nakamura, and we still have the draft on Raw, which is going to be a lot more stars, and definitely a lot more interesting also as well, based off what we already got so far. But again, we'll see what happens with that. But thank you for your guys' comments in the live chat. Let's roll on to the second hour of SmackDown. So we have the match I thought was going to main event the show. When it didn't, I thought, uh-oh. Maybe that SmackDown tag title match will main event the show. And I thought we were going to get like a heel turn in that tag title match. But instead we had something a little bit different, which I kind of like they did that instead, of course. But again, we'll get there. But Bayley and Sasha Banks had a match. It was basically just a brief, brawl type segment where we had, which ended with, Bayley attacking Sasha with a chair. Probably just to say, we can't do just the first match being Hell in a Cell, so why not have one to start off with? I thought maybe we were going to get Sasha win the title here, and then Bayley win it back at Hell in a Cell. But now that, Sasha, Bayley got disqualified, I think Sasha's winning, the first actual pay-per-view match between these two on the main roster at Hell in a Cell. So I'm going to say that's going to happen, because it was made official not long after Sasha challenged Bayley to the Hell in a Cell match that was accepted, which I think, that Roman and Jay match, though, still to me would be a great main event with the I Quit stipulation. That has the bigger stakes, but I still kind of want to see Sasha and Bayley headline Hell in a Cell, but we'll see. But yeah, that happened there. We got that set up. Kevin Owens was backstage, taping up his wrists when Alexa Bliss rolls up and tells him to let him in, getting ready for the eventual main event of the night, Kevin Owens versus The Fiend, which Probably was better for the main event because, again, like, this is the first time Bray Wyatt's wrestled on an actual episode of Raw or SmackDown since becoming The Fiend, so I'm like, okay, fine. I'm fine with that main eventing. But then we have that SmackDown Tag Title match. The Artistic Collective, Cesaro and Nakamura, the champions, taking on the New Days, returning Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Match was fine. Again, we've seen the match how many times. It was fine. But then the New Day win the tag titles when Xavier Woods hit his limit break finisher on Nakamura to get the win. Which, again, I do like how they have over the years for the New Day. Because at first, when they started off, Xavier Woods was just, just the loudmouth in the corner. Them didn't really do much action in the ring. I liked, again, they've given Xavier Woods his time to shine in the ring, for sure, as New Day. I definitely think he's improved a lot in the ring. Is he still, anything special in the ring? Not really, but he's improved. I like what I see from Xavier Woods inside the ring. But then we get to the final set of draft picks live on SmackDown this week. I kind of wish they would have done this in a different order. Well, I'll go backwards for this round, because this is how they probably should have done it. Going to Raw, well, the last pick of the evening was Angel Garza, who, by the way, apparently his injury is not as severe as, it looked. So he's only going to be out for a couple weeks. So Angel Garza staying on Raw. Otis, was drafted to SmackDown, which I didn't like that. I thought Otis should have gone to Raw, but of course I'll get into that in a little bit. But just Otis is going to SmackDown. Dana Brooke, who was already just traded to Raw, just like Mandy Rose, is staying on Raw. But then, here was the kicker. The first picks of this last round, going to Raw, was the newly crowned SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. But just Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And Woods is like, say E. Say E also. Say E also. Well, Stephanie McMahon said Big E. But Big E is staying on SmackDown. Big E is staying on SmackDown. Officially breaking up the New Day. Nobody turned on each other or anything like that. But you just saw the looks on their faces. Just brokenhearted. Wow. I felt still probably they should have done those last. They should have announced Big E staying on SmackDown and then announced, swerved us by saying, no, the SmackDown Tag Champions going to Raw. Which, again, I'm wondering. Again, I'll save that for my thoughts on, all the draft picks at the end. But, a swerve there as that was one of two tag teams that have already been officially broken up. The other one was announced today on Talking Smack. But I'm like, dang. The fact that even though, again, like I was saying for a while, I think it's time to take a break from this New Day in general. Again, I'll save it till the end. But yeah, definitely was, even though, again, I've been wanting to see it for a while, the fact that it's actually happening now, I'm like, wow. Because, again, it was one of the teams that was, almost my whole wrestling career. Pretty much. Yeah. But my whole time as a wrestling fan, 6 of the 7 years, New Day. But now that they're no more, I'm like, well, jeez. Kind of hit me a little bit. But, we'll talk about that, of course, after I go over all the picks. Back from commercial break, we see Heavy Machinery chatting. And before this, I was just like, oh, wait, maybe we're throwing a whole idea of, Miz, Morrison, Otis, and Tucky going to court about over the briefcase and this stupid lawsuit. Again, this is totally making Miz look more stupid. But I thought maybe we're going to throw out the window. Nope, we didn't. We were supposed to get it. Otis and Tucker were in the back all ready to do it until they get another document from someone saying Otis shouts out legal terms and says he's been served and examined them. They turn out to a continuance as Mrs. Lawyer is delaying the hearing. I'm like, okay. But I guess they're maybe going to do some type of match at Hell in a Cell with the briefcase on the line, maybe. Who knows? But I mean, who would we want to see from Miz or Morrison win it? Maybe like just Otis versus the Miz, even though I just think, if it was Miz from 2016, 2018, it would work. But the Miz you have now, no, because again, remember, Otis squashed John Morrison in 3 minutes last week. And again, I can say this again. I love you, Otis. I think you're a great talent. But one, you got Mandy Rose. You made out with Mandy Rose in a pool, in a bikini, for crying out loud. And you beat John Morrison in 3 minutes. John Morrison should not be getting squashed in 3 minutes. That's not the way it works. So, I don't know if maybe we're going to have a match where it's like the Money in the Bank contract is going to be seen on SmackDown or on Raw. So, I get that, but it's just like, again, this just isn't booked right. For sure. So, whatever. But we'll see what happens with that, as I said. But, of course, we'll talk about Head Machinery in a bit also. Sasha Banks has her promo about Bayley being a coward, and she should have seen the intentional DQ, so she challenged her to a Hell in a Cell match, and that match made official. Then the main event we had was Bray Wyatt and Kevin Owens. Pretty good match. Again, first half of these two have faced each other on the main roster, so in general, pretty good match. But still telling a story about anybody who comes in contact with the Fiend changes. Maybe just help light a fire on Kevin Owens, I don't know, but the Fiend wins the Mandible Claw. Afterwards, him and Alexa Bliss just stare at each other on the stage, and I'm like, are they going to kiss? What are they going to do? They didn't do that. So that's how we go off the air. And that was SmackDown. So again, before I go over the picks again and get my thoughts on them. And of course, I also will share the 5 picks that were announced on Talking Smack today. Let me check the polls and check the live chat again. 15 votes on this poll. 40% said A, 26.7% said B, 13.3% said C, and 20% said D or lower, so definitely mixed results. I gave SmackDown a B. Again, I actually really enjoyed SmackDown this week. I mean, was it perfect? No, but I thought it had a lot of intriguing things. And I think, we got from the draft so far, I'm like, not too bad. Like I said, though, introduced in the beginning of this video, again, the thing about the draft is WWE needs to show they're going to stick with the draft. Because the past few weeks, they've been kind of leering off on this brand-to-brand invitation, kind of, going a little too far with it. So I'm hoping, they're already announcing that next week we're going to have Roman Reigns defending the Universal title against Braun Strowman on the season premiere. I guess his Braun never got his one-on-one rematch for the Universal title since he dropped it. I don't know, who knows. But it kind of bought me a little. I'm thinking, I kind of want Braun to go to Raw. And also they're going to do New Day's farewell match. Have them team up and take on Sheamus, Nakamura, and Cesaro. As long as that's it, again, then just stick to the brand split. Don't do this stupid brand-to-brand invitational crap, please. But yeah, I'll go to the live chat after I go over the picks again, because I actually gotta get going in a few minutes, actually. But let me go over the picks. So, for night 1 picks, again, obviously the champions were going to stay on the brands. They were Drew McIntyre staying on Raw, Roman Reigns staying on SmackDown, Asuka staying on Raw. Again, Seth Rollins going to SmackDown. I thought I was thinking it could happen, but I wasn't sure if they wanted to, put both Roman and Seth on the same brand again so soon. I just wasn't sure if they needed, they needed Rollins star power on one brand. But again, think about it. He's been on Raw for how long, so it could be a fresh coat of paint. The fact, though, that the Mysterios went over, and Murphy, it was announced on Talking Smack, Murphy's going to SmackDown too. That kind of hurt the purpose of it a little bit for him to get something fresh, and him saying he doesn't have to see the Mysterios again, but it's still happening. I don't know if we're going to call him now the Friday Night Messiah, the Friday Night Friar, who knows. But if he is going to go to SmackDown, which again, I still have heard rumors he may be taking some time off soon, to deal with, be be a daddy and be there for, the birth of their child. If he's going to stay on SmackDown, again, why not go with him getting another disciple? And honestly, I thought about it. How about Lars Sullivan? How about Lars Sullivan as kind of like, his new heater, his newest disciple or something like that? Because think about it, again, the original plan for Lars Sullivan on the main roster, besides he was supposed to beat John Cena at WrestleMania 35, he originally was supposed to be doing what Eric Rowan did with Daniel Bryan. That was supposed to be Lars Sullivan originally. Which could have been interesting for sure, because I do like Lars Sullivan. So, what if Lars was Seth's disciple? Newest disciple? I don't know if I want to watch awkwardly, folding his hands like, Murphy did, or like Austin Theory did it like this when he was with him. I thought, again, like this, I thought it was just a super awkward way Theory did that. But, so, maybe that, I'm not sure, like, if Apollo Crews came to SmackDown, they wanted to turn him heel, maybe him, just kind of, turn him heel still, give him some life there. If not, I'd say keep him on Raw and keep him relevant, maybe make him and Ricochet a tag team, who knows. If not, he's going back to catering. But yeah, that's my thought there. Hurt Business staying, yeah, I figured. Again, AJ Styles going to Raw again. There's two reasons why I think AJ Styles moved back over to Raw. One, he wanted to be able to see his son's football games on Friday nights. And, of course, a lot of his other kid activities. Again, you could tell that even though AJ Styles has done all of his career building work, now he's just like, basically knocking stuff off his bucket list at this point. Because he's winding down. Like, AJ Styles has already made it clear when his current contract expires, he's done. So, you can tell he's already, like, having his feet out the door. He's focused on being a dad. Obviously, him going over to Raw means he's going to be able to be there for his kids' events on the weekends and whatnot, which will be good for him. But also, I think he went over to Raw because he wants to be far away from Paul Heyman. Again, I heard that him and Paul Heyman don't see eye to eye, and I guess he's going to be in the same brand as him. So there's that as well. But I will say this, though. Even though I'm disappointed we're not going to be seeing AJ Styles and Roman Reigns on SmackDown, after this feud with Randy Orton's over, whether it's at Survivor Series or TLC, or even for Royal Rumble if Drew is still the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. I want to see that match. Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. That's going to be a phenomenal match. And I can't wait to see it. Again, that better be the next feud after Randy Orton for Drew McIntyre. Hopefully still with the title at this point. So we got that. Sasha Banks is staying on SmackDown. Naomi going over to Raw. Again, maybe have a match with Asuka. I don't think we've seen Naomi and Asuka yet. Maybe it could be good. Who knows? But hopefully we'll actually give Naomi something serious to do on Raw. Who knows? Bianca going to SmackDown. I already said it's a great idea. Again, the moment this Sasha and Bayley feud ends, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, take my money. Let's go. Like I said before, that's going to be awesome. And then Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are staying on Raw. I'm sorry. Nia Jax are staying on Raw, and Shayna Baszler. Ricochet staying on Raw. I don't know about that one. I just don't think he has anything else to prove on Raw right now. SmackDown could have been a clear coat of paint for him, but he's staying on Raw, so that's why I'm not too sure about. Again, Jey Uso, basically Usos are staying on SmackDown, which is kind of taken away from what I'm thinking what I wanted they're doing. But again, like, why they have this tag team stay on SmackDown when, I'm gonna say right now, all other tag teams were moved over to Raw. There was, besides technically just Jey Uso, besides Jimmy Uso maybe, and maybe Dominic and Rey, no other tag teams on this draft was drafted over to SmackDown. Which, of course, you still got New Day, who wins the tag titles, and they're drafted over to Raw. Got me wondering here. Which we'll, of course, get to that momentarily. Mandy Rose was just traded over to Raw, staying on Raw. Of course, Dominic and Rey going to SmackDown. I already talked about Miz and Morrison going to Raw. And again, of course, we got Dana Brooke going over to Raw. Otis staying on SmackDown. Angel Garza on Raw. Again, New Day, splitting them up like they did. Once again, it threw a curveball because, again, they just won the SmackDown tag titles, and then they moved them over to Raw. I'm like, okay, so I'm guessing they're not going to hold the belts too long, or is it going to be something else? But to me, honestly, I felt just splitting them up, and having like that emotional end, and without like one turn on the other, I thought was the right thing to do. You have a team together for 6 years like this. Obviously, they've been through a lot together, the ups and downs. I mean, you can say about almost about any team, but even though they ran its course, they still want to go out, on a good note. Like, you didn't have to just, have one of them hate the other and turn on the other. I mean, maybe they still may do that next week, who knows. But, again, Big E's getting over. As a single star, people want to see Big E succeed, so keep him a face. Kofi being heel, maybe, but, I think, just, having these guys, like, stay in character. They were faces most of their time. They were heels, but they were heels just to kind of, like, light the fire going for them. It took a while, but again, let's keep in mind, this gimmick with New Day was not supposed to work. They were getting rejected and crazy. Big E was doing nothing. Kofi Kingston was floundering the mid-cards. And Xavier Woods, I hate Xavier Woods, and he was out the door. But this gave these guys, just the path to the Hall of Fame. New Day is going to go into the Hall of Fame someday. And to be honest, also, even though, again, it's weird that they're SmackDown Tag Team Champions, yet they got drafted over to Raw, keep this in mind, they just tied the Dudleys, I think it was. The Dudleys or the Hardys, I can't remember, at 9-time Tag Team Champions now. It'll make, whenever they do get them back together for, like, one last run, and they win the tag titles, it'll make it more special. It makes me look forward to, the reunion when they take a break from each other for a while and they reunite them back together. Again, that one tag title victory getting them back together is going to feel monumental. It's going to feel special. So I do kind of like that they did that, but again, all the tag teams were drafted over to Raw, except for the Usos. Well, they just drafted Jay, but technically the Usos are staying on SmackDown. And there's Dominic and Rey moving over to SmackDown. But Miz and Morrison moved over to Raw. New Day moved over to Raw. And probably a few others are coming. Nobody moved over to SmackDown. I mean, then again, who is to move over to SmackDown from Raw? Because Raw has no tag teams. But we'll get that in a second. Because let me also briefly, but again, I think just them going out with like a heartbreaking emotional end, not just like, turning on the other. I think that was more fitting for New Day. I just still thought it was different, and it kind of like, just felt for him. Because, again, they were together for 6 years. And, again, it was a gimmick that was not supposed to work. It wasn't. So, again, I think it worked better. But before I get to my other little analogy I want to talk about real quick, let me go over the picks that were announced on Talking Smack. So, on Talking Smack, they announced that Humberto Carrillo is staying on Raw. Kalisto is staying on SmackDown, so does that mean Lucha House Party is also going over to Raw? Again, another tag team moving over to Raw. Nobody moved over to SmackDown. So we got that. We had that happening. For SmackDown, Drew Gulak, who's been on Raw more than SmackDown lately, going for a 24/7 title, he got moved over to Raw. So if Daniel Bryan is going to Raw, I guess we're split up the thing with the alliance of Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan, which is a shame because I actually like that duo. I like Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak together, but Bryan's away, helping Brie right now, probably staying safe from the pandemic, but I'm not sure when Bryan's going to come back, or if he ever will come back. And then we have Buddy Murphy go over to SmackDown. So basically we're moving the whole Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy, and Mysterio storyline over to SmackDown. Yay! And then the last one but not least, going to Raw, Tucker. I don't like that one. I don't like that they split up Heavy Machinery already. I get that, Otis is getting somewhere as a single star for sure, but I wanted to see Heavy Machinery get run the tag titles first off. They were a fun act together. I didn't even think they ran their course yet, not at all. You could have still done, Miz and Morrison Heavy Machinery with the contract on the line at Hell in a Cell. That's what we're going with. But dang it, oh jeez, why did I have to split them up? And especially Tucker too. Tucker's gonna be stuck on main event. Like him going over to Raw is just gonna dwindle him down. He could very well get released in a year now. I didn't like that one. But look at that though. We got New Days, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Miz and Morrison, and most likely Lucha House Party because Kalisto got drafted to SmackDown, but not the rest of the Lucha House Party going over to Raw. Raw did not send any tag teams, but once again, who are the tag teams? None of them got sent over to SmackDown. So who they got now? Lucha House Party, Nakamura and Cesaro. They've been feuding for how many months? If you want to count Rey and Dominic. Well, there is the Forgotten Sons, who are just forgotten, of course. Are they going to be merged into tag titles? Like, does anybody else have that inkling they may be merging the tag titles? Because, like, what are you going to do? Like, if Street Profits get drafted to SmackDown, are they basically going to just walk up to Kofi and Xavier and say, hey, here, you're on Raw, take these, we'll take these and go to SmackDown, or something like that. Or are they going to merge the tag titles? Because, if you just have, them drop it to have them face a SmackDown team, it's going to be obvious that, someone's they're going to win it. And I'm kind of hoping they're going to merge the titles. Because, okay, I'm not a fan of them having 2 world champions, 2 women's champions, but, at least, there's depth for the world title. The women's division has enough bodies. The problem is they just don't utilize all of them. But the tag team division, there's not enough tag teams for 2 titles. And the women's division only has 1. So why not just make one, just merge the titles for the men's division? That's what I'm hoping they go with. But again, if they move the Street Profits to SmackDown, they're probably just like, hey, swap. We'll take the Raw, take the SmackDown one, still be tagged. Like I don't know about that. I don't know. But that's my thing. Again, like, are they merging? That's the thing that interests me most about this draft. Again, all tag teams moved over to Raw. Others got split up. So again, like, with Kalisto, because there was some people who was not drafted: Elias, Mickie James, Lucha House Party, and Shorty G were the only ones who were on this week's poll that did not get drafted. Which, again, disrespect for Mickie James for sure. They drafted Dana Brooke over Mickie James. Dana Brooke over Mickie James. Isn't that a little insulting? But that's the thing I got coming out of this draft. Again, the Seth Rollins one interested me a lot until they moved over the Mysterios and Buddy Murphy. But I felt they were going to move over Murphy because, I want to see that match at Hell in a Cell, Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins. But then the Mysterio, I'm like, no, God, but... And again, I didn't think they were going to do that first because I thought Seth was going away to, help Becky, prepare for their child, but... The tag team division, what's going to happen with it? We'll find out on Raw next week, as both tag team champions right now are on the same brand. Like I said, they could very well just be like, hey, switch with us. So, I don't know. I still hope they go with merging the tag titles. Again, there's not enough tag teams in this division. And again, the thing is too is, who's there at NXT to bring up to fill that in? You want to have Killian Dane and Drake Maverick with that Teletubby kid bird whistling, theme music. Oh my goodness, that was so cringe when I watched it last night. I was half asleep and I saw that and I was already cringing over it. So that's what I'm going to say. Just merge the tag titles. That's what I say the best thing to do. Because there's going to be nobody on SmackDown if you do that. But, yeah. So, yeah. Live chat. Let me see here. Let's see what we got here. Live chat. Now I got to get going. My mom's waiting for me. Let me see here. Where were we at? Whatever it's Sasha versus Bayley or Roman versus Jay, either match is perfect caliber main event given the respective stakes. Oh yeah, definitely. I would rather see it be Sasha and Bayley for something different, of course, And again, them, they're definitely main event of pay-per-view worthy. We all know they are. They main evented. They were the first women to main event a Takeover, which again was awesome. At Takeover respect. But again, those stakes are so high for Roman and Jay. Like, for Hell in a Cell, I quit. Definitely, but again, we'll see. Let me see here. Did you notice how much Xavier Woods beefed up? Oh yeah, he looked great as well. I'll say that. Bye, man. Bye. Okay. Is it officially broken up if 2/3 are still a team on Raw? Not officially, but again, Big E, obviously, was just ready to be a single star being pushed together. But I wouldn't say they're like broken up, but the same ones aren't together unless once Woods and Kofi drop the titles, because I don't see Woods and Kofi holding the tag titles long, unless they're merging them together. But I don't see them hold on to the titles for too long, so who knows what's going to happen there. GR Campbell's leaving. Thanks for coming by, man. They could still team up in a 6-man tag at Big 4 pay-per-views. They could. Could the money in the bank be cashed in on any brand? You see, that's the thing I'm wondering too. Would this, even though, again, I am not... Let me see here, what's this? Ooh, some girl on Instagram. Probably a fake. I kind of am hoping, because, again, look at the storyline with Otis. Even though, again, I hate this storyline because, it's just not... Just something's off about it. Miz is basically... Otis is getting everything taken away from him. His tag team partner, the girl, and now, of course, maybe his Money in the Bank contract. What if this does lead to Otis somehow getting over to Raw and getting, with his tag partner and with Mandy again? It could, but, again, Miz has got to get booked better for sure with this. Because, again, with Miz being booked right, this could be a great feud. But with how they're booking Miz and just making him, doing toilet comedy, it's terrible. Let me see here. Carmella's not on the show last night. Rob was also surprised to see how annoyed you were with NXT in my review. Again, I don't hate it, but it's just not the same right now, as I'm saying. It's just tough with the position that they are in. Again, there's definitely some good stuff. Again, I do like the development with Kyle O'Reilly. But like I said, a lot of superstars are just super directionalists, as I keep saying. But I hope they do turn it around, definitely. When is the Fiend getting his rematch? I don't know, it's weird. Thanks for that. Rollins, Reigns, and Usos be a good team. As well, we're not going to be the same without AJ Styles. For sure, yes. Styles is the former TNA IWG champion. Could Ricochet go back to NXT? At this point, I'd say yes, honestly. Please. Ricochet and Finn Balor for the NXT title? Perfect, definitely. Agree with you. Kofi's a heel and Xavier as his advocate. We could do that as well, maybe, if they go with that on Raw. New Day, the longest reigning tag team that Vince is never going to split up until now. Yeah, I guess so. The way I said yay was funny. Did Retribution get drafted? Not yet. Did you see that Daniel Bryan was in the draft poll for Monday Night Raw on Monday, and that's why he showed up the last night on Raw, and I saw that. I went up to use the bathroom. I heard a rumor that the oldest was Vince. And we can thank you very much, guys. Yeah, again, we'll see where Brian goes as well. But guys, I hate to do this, but again, my mom's waiting for me downstairs, so I gotta get going. But thank you again for coming up here live, guys, to talk about this review. And again, like my NXT stuff, I said last night in my review. Again, I don't hate NXT. It's just like it's fallen off its wheels a little bit, like I said. But hopefully, it will get back on track. We just gotta get some stars going again. But like I said, some of these other stars that are still in NXT, it's like they need a direction. Like, they're doing fine, but give them something more interesting, I think. But, that's going to do it, guys. Again, I will be back, up here on Monday. Well, probably not Monday, maybe Tuesday. Who knows, again, because I'm off all week this week from work, so maybe I'll review Raw Monday afterwards. We'll see. But that's my thoughts on SmackDown, guys, and the draft. I gave it a B. What are your thoughts on SmackDown and night 1 of the draft? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And there's always a slap a like on the video. Subscribe or comment on my channel. And follow me on Twitter at DemandAir23. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. Keep an eye out also for my Hell in a Cell card predictions as well. And I will see you guys all later. Have a rest of your Saturday afternoon. Peace out, everybody.